All right, January 17th, 2013, here we go. Classic sequence. So Kathy is already doing meditation in Siddhasana, the first variation where the heel is in front of the heel. And she has her palms in Matsyasana. Oh, there's Dita Dalu in the background. Kathy's always wearing her Yoga Circle t-shirt. Love that about you, Kathy. All right, so begin the class. That's our mudra to start with. And then we do Supta Baddha Konasana. I always like the groin opening poses and the hamstring stretches. You'll see how I carry this through in almost every class. This is the intro or intro 1 level or 1-2 level. So here they're doing it with nothing, right? No support. Usually we have bolsters or some kind of support underneath the thighs, either blocks or weights or belts. But here they're just doing it, let gravity work. It's Carla Benedetti and Donatella next to each other, the Italianis. Okay. All right, then we move from there, show another variation of Gomukhasana. Here you can see Dita's doing it. Remember the top arm and the lower leg go together. It stretches that side. But now you can see in the next one, I'm doing a variation of it. But you see I got the extra blanket under my heel. So instead of having the bottom leg heel to the outside, here you sit on your heel. It's a really powerful stretch for the foot. Hi, Patty. Good to see you there. All right. Now we're getting ready for Supta Pada 1. So we're grabbing the mat, notice with the hands on the side, and pulling the shoulders down away from the neck to remember to keep that space between your skull and the top of the shoulder. So then we do Supta Pada 1 as our first pose, reaching up. You can see how the guy in the bottom part of the pose has his head lifted. He really needs a blanket there to levelize his skull with his chest. You see the other two students here, how difficult it is to straighten the leg on the floor, get it down to the floor. Nonetheless, you do the best you can. Then we do Supta Pada 2, take it to the side. In this variation, you can see that we're using the other hand, the opposite hand, to keep the straight leg grounded and not let the pelvis tilt over to the side. That's Wendley Cunard, great flamenco dancer student. Then Supta Pada 3, that's where we take the leg across the body and bring it over and under the chin if possible. Tough pose to coordinate, but nice hip stretch at the same time. Works the piriformis muscle. You see, notice how difficult it is to keep the chest squared to the front like Tadasana, because you lift up and you tilt the chest away from the midline. All right, but resisting that other leg out against the wall, really, really helpful to give you some grounding. And then the fourth one is where you bend both arms at the elbows and pull the leg toward you, and you lift your forehead up to the shin. That's another nice stretch for the back. Then you make everything symmetrical with the dog pose, just basic. And then you show here the Tadasana aspect of like in dog pose. Tadasana, can you keep the weight on the back part of the ball mount and the front part of the heel? So the arch really works. And then we're showing here how to ground these points of the metatarsal so that when you're doing the triangle pose, you bring that into that particular position. Now we're showing how to use the straps to externally rotate both legs. And then when you do that in triangle pose, it teaches how both legs have to turn from inside out. And then after you do that, you let it go, and then you do the classical pose. And then, of course, as you see in many of these sequences, Partial Konasana and Supta and Trikonasana work the same way with a lot of the details. So here's another pose where both those legs can externally rotate at the root of the thigh. That's what the belts are teaching us. Yeah, and then here just for a revolved pose, Pravritta Partial Konasana. But this one is just to get your palm down because there's so many people can't make the bind, can't take the arm over the outside of the front knee. So at least to get you down into the pose and really stretching the hips and the groins, you just put the palm flat on the floor on the inside of the leg instead of the outside. And that was the variation there. Then we come back into Prasarita Padottanasana. So both it's a head down position, so after the standing poses, it kind of quiets the mind, but also it's a transition to inversion. So this is Andy Amond, longtime student, teacher in her own right, looking pretty good. And then from there, we're going to go into another inversion. So it's like headstand, but first we're going to do Janu Sirsasana, and then Bharadvajasana, twisting pose after the forward bend, and then shoulder stand to finish off. inner inner shower for the body, and then of course you work into your shavasana. So if you don't want to cover yourself, at least cover the feet or some of your extremities, so you don't feel like the cold has ruined your shavasana. And that's it for this class. I hope you enjoyed it and learned some stuff, especially how to use the props. Diagonally press toward the big toe side. So that